Hello, my name is David Lis, and my wife Maggie and I moved here in 2008 from London. We were looking for a garden on the edge of a village with great views and more or less a blank canvas from which we could make the garden or gardens that we'd always thought we'd like. So what I'm going to show you is the result of that. It's a cross between symmetry and order and wildflower planting. I hope you'll agree that we've covered most bases after you've seen what follows. So this is the East Garden, which is a mixed herbaceous shrub and rose garden. Rose is obviously looking particularly good at the moment, but in the spring we have two viburnum plicatums which are magnificent, smothered in beautiful white flowers. We have a Garrya elliptica on the east wall, which is excellent in the winter. And as you can see, Thalictrum and salvias, geraniums, a real mix in this garden. So this is the silver garden, which was made in 2012, the year of our silver wedding anniversary. As you can see, it's a mainly silver themed area, with 4 pyrus salsifolias being the main feature. So the patio garden and the south facing walls of the house are clad with roses, an iceberg growing through a Muhlenbeckia, a rather faded now Étoile de Holland, which was beautiful a couple of weeks ago and will reflower later in the year. The rose pergola not yet in full bloom, but I think there are 7 or 8 different roses on the pergola, most of them highly scented. We have in the high 40s numbers of different species of rose, and there are around 84 roses in total in the garden. In the fountain area, the box shapes are surrounded by lavender hidcote blue. In the spring, the bed is full of tulips, which we've left in for a few years now and have repeat flowered. The borders surrounding the fountain area contain geranium roseanne, some hostas and astrantias. The knot garden shapes are a traditional Tudor love knot, which we found in a book on the subject, and the other 2 shapes are somewhat cheesily an M inside a D for Maggie and David. The planting is all white in the knot garden. At the moment the roses are probably dominating. There are 10 Macmillan nurse roses and 4 Rosa Creme de la Creme. The herbaceous garden at this time of year is dominated by roses, delphiniums, nepeta, astrantia, peonies, looking particularly good at the moment. But we also use grasses in our herbaceous borders, so there's Calamagrostis, Amberlinia, as well as Miscanthus in most of the borders in the garden, together with a couple of Stipa gigantea at the entrance to the knot garden. In the lower herbaceous garden, the colours tend to be hotter later in the summer, but at the moment it's fairly blue and yellow with some pink, as you can see. But the real feature is the ornamental cherry tree, which is smothered in a Paul's Himalayan musk and absolutely spectacular at this time of year. If I was asked what my favourite plant is, it arguably is the yew. It is such a structural plant that can be shaped, and at the top of the herbaceous garden we have 13 yew shapes which survive well in the clay soil because the drainage is so good at the top of the bank. Having established the Wildflower area, or the meadow area, in 2009, it's taken us a long time to get a good mix of wildflowers, and we succeeded 2 years ago in establishing a good amount of yellow rattle, which is now allowing more wildflowers to prosper. The south lawn is a symmetrically designed area using primarily hornbeam, hedging, hornbeam cubes, pleached hornbeam and fastigiate hornbeam. And on either side of the outside of the hornbeam hedging there are rows of amelanchias, which are particularly good in spring for the flowers and in autumn for the leaf colour. Since we moved to Havoc Hall, we've more or less had a new project every year, and this winter it was to make these new prairie beds on the south lawn. So the planting started in January. It's mainly a grass-themed plan. As you can see, we have Calamagrostis, Molinias, Miscanthus, Carex, and interspersed amongst those are the likes of Phlomis russelliana, Salvia caradonna, Heleniums, prairie coneflowers, Echinacea. It's not looking like a proper prairie garden yet, but hopefully by late summer it will be taking greater shape. The woodland walk, Maggie, my wife's favourite part of the garden, and probably one of my favourite parts too. There are lots of self-seeded plants in this area, with Ligularia, the rocket, being a particularly prolific one, along with the Phlomis russelliana. Another prolific self-seeder is Alchemilla mollis, and here we see it in amongst some Thalictrum blackstocking with Hosta big blue. And one of my favourite plants is the geranium dragonheart. And looking back down the woodland walk from the north end, you can also see that Aruncus has made a home by spreading around gently in the area. The drive is lined with 8 field maples, which over the last 8 years we've been topiarising into the pyramid shapes that you see here. The courtyard area contains 4 topiarised Portuguese laurels currently coming into flower, and the roses on the pergola include Lichfield Angel and Rosa Compassion.